A traffic accident somehow left me with a deadly kill zone. Any living thing that enters the area around me dies instantly. Even birds flying overhead can't escape it. At first, I had no idea what was happening. I even waved at passing cars for help, but instead of stopping, the cars came straight at me like they had lost control. Luckily, I jumped out of the way in time and avoided getting hurt again. But when I walked over to check the car, I found that the woman behind the wheel was already dead. Her eyes had rolled back, and the sight of her was terrifying. A chill ran through me, and I rushed to a nearby breakfast diner to ask for help. The moment I stepped inside, I froze. Not a single person in the diner was still alive. Every one of them had stopped breathing, and all of them had died with their eyes rolled back. I had no idea what was going on. Just then another vehicle pulled up. I ran outside to get help, but to my shock, the truck driver was already dead too. There was only one explanation I could think of. The air here was poisonous. Panicking, I covered my mouth and nose with a cloth and ran all the way home, following the address on my ID. As soon as I got there, I sealed up the doors and windows to keep the toxic air from getting inside. That was when I saw a worker outside doing his job. I desperately tried to warn him, but he thought I was calling him over and started walking straight toward me. He had only taken a few steps when his eyes rolled back and he dropped dead on the spot. In that moment, I suddenly realized that maybe the deadly thing wasn't the air. Maybe it was me. To test that idea, I decided to use a crow in the yard as an experiment. Sure enough, when I slowly moved within a certain distance, the crow, which had been hopping around just fine, suddenly collapsed and died. That was when I finally knew for certain I was the one bringing death. So I found some measuring tools and carefully tested the distance. In the end, I figured out that my death radius was about 15 meters. Just then, another car came down the road. I immediately took off running, afraid the driver might enter my kill zone. Sure enough, after I desperately kept my distance, the car passed by safely and drove away without anything happening. From that point on, I locked myself inside the tool shed so I wouldn't end up killing anyone innocent. But of course, the very thing I feared came true. The next day, a strange woman suddenly showed up at my house. I was frantic, so all I could do was yell at her not to come any closer. But a moment later, I heard her knocking on the door. I just stood there, stunned. She hadn't died. Not only that, she called me by name. It turned out that she had been with me when the accident happened. She had lost her memory too, and the only reason she had found this place was because of a business card she had on her. What she didn't expect was that I had amnesia too, and that left her deeply disappointed. But I quickly noticed something strange. As long as she was near me, my death radius disappeared. I began to suspect that the deadly radius had been caused by the accident, so I immediately took her back to the crash site to investigate. When we got there, we found a strange circular zone at the scene. Everything inside the circle had been turned into blackened charcoal. There was no way a normal car accident could have caused something like that. At that point, I became even more certain that my death radius had to be connected to that bizarre circle. And sure enough, after measuring it, we discovered that the circle's radius was also exactly 15 meters. In order to figure out the truth, I told her about the deadly radius around me, but she completely missed the point. All she heard was that several people had died because of me. Her face instantly went pale, and she turned to run. I had no choice but to go after her, because only when I was with her did the death radius stop appearing.
Stop! Stop! Go! Don't just stop! Look, you're not gonna die. Okay, I promise you, you're not gonna die.